At half-back, Peter Casillas at lock position. Graham Hughes in the second row with Jeff Robertson, newcomer to first-grade football. Norm Thomas in the front row with John Coveney, the young fellow from Goulburn that was brought to Canterbury midway through the year this year, and David Allison is in the hooking role. Game is underway and a knock-on from Canterbury. Penrith kicking off, running towards Howell Oval, has resulted in a scrum on the Canterbury quarter line, with Steve Mortimer to feed the scrum. Ball in, won by Canterbury. Out it goes there to Casillas, standing wide of the scrum, trying to bust his way past Ken Wilson, but put down on a good tackle from both Wilson and Olianic, I think, in that one. And this time it's out it goes along the back line to Robinson. Robinson, though, put down heavily by Merlot and John Klein, playing half-back for Penrith. We'll have a look at the Penrith side in just a moment. Out it goes this time from Mortimer again to Norm Thomas, a big fellow. Thomas put to ground by Henderson, just short of halfway beside the touchline in front of the stand. Lost as it goes back behind the player. Allison diving on it, though, to retrain it for Canterbury. And Graham Hughes, the second rower, endeavouring to push his way through the forwards with the ball, but in doing so, one of the Canterbury players hanging on to the marker from Penrith, and a penalty has resulted for Penrith just over halfway into Canterbury's territory. Penrith side, of course, without Stevenson, Wiki, Cale and Ryan, so it's fairly well depleted too, and it sees the return to first grade for the first time this season of great club player Reg Walton, who captained the reserve grade throughout the 1976 season. Walton bringing the ball in now to take it on the mark just over the quarter line, running with it into the Canterbury forwards, and he's been put down by John Coveney. Coveney pushing him back a yard as he holds him up, this time fed by Longhurst, straight into the arms of Ward. Ward put to ground, though, about 10 metres out, and he'll play the ball and run around, ball going quickly on to Johnny King, who's almost broken the line. He's brought to ground just by an ankle as he goes down about 5 metres out, fed out by Merlot, and struck a Canterbury player wandering back onside, and that's resulted in a penalty against Canterbury right in front of the goalpost. So after 3 minutes of play, we should have first points on the board here, and gives me a chance to have a look down the Penrith lineup. Kevin Dan, fullback, Terry Quinn and Reg Walton are the wingers. As I mentioned earlier, young long-serving Reg Walton, still young Reg Walton, because he isn't by any means an old fellow. He's been in grade ranks many years, but started in his teens. On the wings, Brian Henderson and Ross Gigg in the centres. Kenny Wilson, 5'8" and captain, in the absence of Mike Stevenson today. Johnny Klein, who's had an in-and-out season with reserve grade, mainly due to injury, finds himself in the first-grade half-back spot today. Zach Olianic at lock. Paul Merlot and John King in the second row. Bruce Ward sharing the front row with Tim Sheens, and again Georgie Longhurst in the hooking role. So there you are, both sides suffering from injuries that have depleted the ranks, particularly Canterbury, who have 5 out from the original selection, actually 6, and 1 team positional change. Kenny Wilson coming in to attempt this penalty goal. No mistake with it, straight over the brown dot it goes, and so after 5 minutes of play, Penrith lead Canterbury here at Penrith Park by 2 points to 0. You want those, Max?
No, not particularly.
You don't want them? Eh?
That's all the other scores.
Yes. You don't want them?
We don't tell them nothing nowadays, much. It only upsets everybody. Does it make any difference to our position on the reserve grade?
That's why I thought I'd give them to you. I thought you might have liked to have a look.
Cronulla won against South in the under-23s.
Yeah.
And South beat Cronulla's reserve grade, 6-3.
6-5.
Bloody hard tacklers this year, we saw.
Rick, you got me a bit confused with these ads. I take it it's the first double one under the title first half, so we're into that first double there.
That's the kick. No, it's a back kick.
I'll assume it's that, Rick, with 4 more doubles to go after this one before half time. What am I doing with those ones?
That only gave us a chance to get more players up there to flip. Isn't it? Good. Should have. Oh, that's a good tackle. He didn't like much of that. Shoot.
Robertson hard running.
Well, Canterbury with the ball just over halfway from the restart of play. The ball returned to them after they kicked it off. Long kick from Kenny Wilson, and Mortimer being brought down just over halfway, being put out to Hughes, and Hughes quickly moving it on to his centres, and it's gone out wide there to Peter Mortimer. Peter Mortimer looking inside of him to winger Greg Mullane. Mullane, though, running into trouble with Oliani coming across and putting him to ground with Johnny Klein. So this scrum will go down on the 10-metre mark in from touch, right on Penrith's quarter line. Penrith lead by 2 points to 0. The scrum to pack right now. Yes, we have the answer to that question, Rick, and I could have given it to you straight away, so you're $2 richer. The Bus Ramco Cup will leave the Penrith Leagues Club at 5:45 p.m. on Wednesday night. And the service as quick as that's probably worth $4, not 2. He goes winger Mullane hunting for the ball across the back line, and he's been held up in a tackle by Roskig just over the quarter line, and he's feeding on to Coveney. Coveney trying to burst his way through the forwards, but put down by Georgie Longhurst in a low tackle. Out to Mortimer this time, looking outside of him to second rower Graham Hughes, who's put the ball into the arms of Norm Thomas, coming on the double, but Thomas put to ground by Bruce Ward in a strong tackle. Ball will be played about 15 metres out. Coveney trying to run away from the position of dummy half again, but put down very quickly. Mortimer with one in the air. It's going to be far too big, though. It's over the head of Kevin Dan, but Dan has dived into the air to pick it up before he's before allowing it to go dead in goal, and so the result is a line drop out from under the posts. Dan may have done well to let that one go. Nevertheless, too dangerous, I think, when the ball is coming down. He was unable to see where the dead ball line was. He was almost over it when he took the ball. Wilson kicking back to halfway, where Stan Cutler has gone back to pick it up. It's gone past him, got it now, and coming back towards halfway, surrounded by a wall of forwards. Johnny King's going to be first to him. King and Longhurst putting him down just over halfway by about 5 metres. He'll play the ball there, and again Thomas looking for the ball, and Coveney. Young Coveney anxious for work here. He's gone up to dummy half, 10 metres into Penrith's territory. Mortimer with the ball, quickly feeding it on to Peter Casillas. Casillas trying to jiggle his way through the fringe of the rucks, but Olianic pushing him back into the arms of Wilson and King. Mortimer this time, the halfback, running around and feeding the ball out to Thomas. Thomas feeding it back inside to Hughes. Hughes going around a wide circle, back out towards the wing, Quinn's wing, where Quinn's got hold of him by the tail, and he's slung it out to Peter O'Neill, the replacement winger for Canterbury. He's gone down the sideline, but put down about 10 metres out. Mortimer again, firing it out to Hughes quickly. Hughes looking for his outside men. The ball's been picked up by... he's hung onto it and run away from the tackle. Lost this time and picked up by Johnny King on his own quarter line. Quickly put down there, though, as he started off for distant quarters by Cutler. The ball has been played into the hands of Sheens. Sheens running onto the blind, slipping it back to Wilson, onto Merlot. Merlot in centre field, trying to duck his way through the forwards, but they've crowded him out, 3 or 4 of them. Coveney in there quickly to finish off the tackle. Longhurst, Klein, on goes to Ward. Ward looking for the man beside him and electing to take the tackle as he bumped into Norm Thomas. He'll get up to play it just outside his own quarter line. Olianic feeding it out to Wilson. He'll kick left-footed over the head of the blindside ruck. Another beauty from Wilson. It's dribbled its way right along the touch line for about 10 metres and then bounced beautifully into touch, almost as though Wilson has it under remote control. An incredible kick from this fellow. And this scrum will put Penrith on the attack about 15 metres out from the Canterbury try line. Hartley waiting on the players to reach him to put the scrum down. Don't forget, of course, the RSPCA appeal. The 2KA is running today. All money going towards the building of an animal shelter on the Blue Mountains. Badly needed too. And any donations you may have, you can ring 586859, and Rick Page is waiting there to take your pledged amount. Right, ball. The scrum has been won by Penrith. Out along the back line it comes to Wilson. Wilson propping with the ball as the centres from Canterbury got up inside of him. He's gone back the blind side with it, but put to ground now about 15 metres out. Penrith lead by 2 points to 0, and we've had 9 minutes of play here. Sheens running through the... endeavouring to run through the ruck, and narrow blind there, but caught by Thomas and put to ground. Back it comes to Ward. Ward bumping into the forwards. Coveney going back off him, but stopping Ward's progress, and Casillas running in to put him to ground. About 5 metres away, ball has been played out to Wilson, spun on quickly to Merlot, coming from behind the 5'8", but Merlot caught in a good tackle from Locke Casillas, right around the ankles, about 4 metres out, sixth and last one. This time Longhurst feeding it out the blind side, and it's been intercepted there by Peter O'Neill from Canterbury, and there's no way they'll track him down. 25 metres to go, Dan chasing him, 10 metres to go, and over goes O'Neill to score for Canterbury. Between the players, just walked onto the pass, and away he went for about 95 metres of country with no one able to track him down. And so Canterbury go into score the first try of the match here at Penrith Park after 10 minutes of play. Long striding fellow O'Neill, and once he got into stride on that quarter line at his own end of the ground, there was no way they were going to track him down. They came from all directions towards him, but he swerved once only, changed direction about midway, and then straight for the line like a bullet. And they were catching on him as he got to the try line, but they were still a good 2.5 tackles distance when he went over to score. So there we are, Canterbury in for the opening try here at Penrith Park. They lead by 3-2 after 11 minutes of play, and we've yet got the attempted conversion to come. Don't forget, next Saturday afternoon, a big day of rugby league here at Penrith Park with the semi-finals of the University Shield taking place. There it is, ball in the air, and no doubt about it, straight between the uprights, and so Canterbury have gone on to lead by 5 points to 2 after Gary Hughes converted that try by winger Peter O'Neill, and 12 minutes of play gone, Canterbury 5, Penrith 2.
God, stupid pass.
Oh, absolutely ridiculous. No call for the pass.
Who passed it?
No.
I'm not going to be a topper.
Who was that?
Is that what?
Zach.
The winger wasn't.
He wasn't looking. Zach was looking at his own try line when he threw the pass.
The winger wasn't in the position to do anything here.
No, it should have gone to Wilson.
Good kick.
Not good enough. Yes, you're right.
Can you read that?
I thought Quinn would have cut it off.
Bulldogs
Very
really
tough,
held
that
up
Tim
the
Reed,
range,
haven't
haven't they?
Oh, come on. Tiny did. Geez, the lucky that the penalty Klein was nowhere near the ball.
Don't hang on to the pen if I want it, mate. I brought the pen for me to use, not for you to use. Get a pen, get a pencil out so we'll have one each. Ask Harry to get your pencil. Well, here we have a kick from Penrith and a penalty given to them inside their own halfway, and a good line touched finding kick too from Wilson, with Quinn about to take the tap halfway between halfway line and Canterbury's quarter line. He's running to the forwards and taking the tackle of the Canterbury front row. They've put him to ground. Merlot storming onto the ball from the blind side as Longhurst gives it to him, but he's been caught in a good tackle by Gary Hughes. On the Canterbury quarter line now, King doing the same thing again, running onto the pass from Longhurst from the blind side. King getting up to play the ball. On it goes to Ward, back to Sheens, change of direction there, and back again to Oliarnik, who wasn't waiting for it, and Canterbury have come up with it. Oliarnik not prepared for the pass, and Cutler has come up with the ball, and back it goes to Coveney, the front rower. He's been swamped there by Klein and Sheens and put to ground just outside his halfway. Halfback Mortimer waiting on the pass, swinging it out the blind side to Hughes. Hughes looking outside of him quickly to Peter Mortimer. Mortimer feeding it back into Hughes again. Hughes pulling them with him. He's a big strong fellow. Back it goes again to Greg Mullane, but Mullane pushed back about 3 metres by Sheens, and Georgie Longhurst just short of the halfway. In field it goes this time through the hands of Mortimer. Hughes. Mortimer again on to big fellow Thomas as he bore down on that ball, but he's been caught by King and Longhurst. Mortimer at dummy half, feeds it out quickly to Hughes at 5'8". He's thrown a dummy and out it goes, but knocked down by Henderson there waiting on the intercept, not able to gather it though, and so this scrum will go down over halfway into Canterbury's territory. Hartley talking to both packs of forwards, the ball to be fed by Steve Mortimer. John Klein at half-back today for Penrith. The absence of Terry Wiki, recovering from a heavy tackle last weekend. Mortimer running around the open side of the scrum and then feeding it back into the scrum area, where Hughes has been put to ground by Johnny King. Out the open this time. Coveney coming on the burst for the ball, making good ground too before reaching the Penrith line of defence, and he's been put down by Sheens and Oliarnik. Out it comes to Hughes, 5'8". Hughes throwing a dummy and going back in among the forwards, pushing off Longhurst, but Sheens getting up to him with Wilson. Just over halfway, ball has been played out to Mortimer again, right on halfway, fed on there to Thomas, coming again behind Mortimer. It's a big fellow, Thomas, and they're using him to soften up the Penrith forwards, but they're putting him to ground with some very effective tackles. Coveney again from the pass to Mortimer. He's broken out of that one from King. Fed it out along the back line to Mortimer. Peter Mortimer, a long touch, but Mortimer not able to get it to Mullane. Last one for Canterbury to Steve Mortimer. Out it goes to Hughes. A long pass to centre field there into the hands of Mick Ryan. Ryan looking for a place to go with it. It's been knocked down by Wilson and picked up again by 5'8" Gary Hughes, and that's 6 again. That's putting Canterbury on the attack, 25 metres out in centre field. Hughes running away with the ball, slipping a pass back to Gary Hughes at 5'8". He stopped a moment with it, given it to Mortimer. Mortimer's taken off and running to the arms of Wilson. Mortimer, feet twinkling along the ground there as he looked for the gap. Then it goes to Coveney. Coveney running again wide of the ruck, but put down on a good tackle from Oliarnik. 2 metres out. Allison feeding it out to 5'8" Hughes onto Mortimer, and a forward pass that time from Mortimer into the arms of Hughes, and Hartley right on the job has penalised Canterbury for that forward pass to a man standing offside, and that saved the day for Penrith. They were in a ton of trouble at that stage. Wilson kicking out towards the grandstand, looking for touch, and he's found it too. Just over quarter line there, and Oliarnik throwing it into Klein, who'll take the tap just outside the quarter line. Penrith into the ground. Canterbury lead by 5-2. Oh, Sheen's put down on a heavy tackle from Coveney, from Thomas, as he turned his back to look for support. He got it to Walton, who went down 2 in a tackle. Sheen's okay though, he's up for straight away. I thought he would have lain there a while. Merlot from dummy half. The ball's been played. Merlot slipped it back to Oliarnik. Oliarnik put to ground. He's getting up very, very slowly. His ball has been played quickly out along the back line to Wilson, who's looked for Sheens out there. Back it goes to Gig, right out to Henderson on the far touch. He's got Quinn in support. Mortimer Coveney across with a good diving tackle. Henderson up to play the ball right beside the far touch in front of the scoreboard, and Wilson with a good kick over the head of winger O'Neill, who scored Canterbury's opening try, and into touch it goes on Canterbury's quarter line. So that's twice good kicking from 5'8" Ken Wilson has given Penrith the advantage in the scrum to be set by Hartley right on Canterbury's quarter line. Canterbury 5, Penrith 2, and we've had 18 minutes of play so far in this fixture at Penrith Park. Mortimer has fed the ball, won by Canterbury, picked up by Casillas at lock, going back the blind side. Kings knocked him off balance and put him down as Klein came over the top of him on the quarter line. Then played there, and Hughes running away from the dummy half position, made about 5 metres. Longhurst has put him to ground. Again, Coveney running the blind side. That's 3 times the Canterbury forwards have endeavoured to force their way through the forwards from the dummy half position, almost to the halfway line now. Back to Mortimer this time, to Hughes at 5'8", a reverse pass. No, Hughes has hung on to it. Back to Coveney again. Coveney running into Ward waiting on him, and they lost a few metres of ground in that play. This time out it goes to Thomas. Thomas coming from a deep position and running with all the power his big frame can build up, but King putting him to ground. Mortimer running away from dummy half, turning his body towards the opposition, swinging it out to his brother. Then out it goes to O'Neill on the wing with a long pass. He's lost it, and it's bounced into the hands of Merlot on the job. Merlot swinging it infield to Ward. Then on it comes to Longhurst. Longhurst running out of support though, and being tackled by Coveney. He'll play the ball. Out it comes to Wilson. Quickly on to Dan up in the back line. Dan swerving his way through the gap, but put to ground by Ryan as he tried to find his way through the gap. Henderson at dummy half, endeavouring to go from there. Put to ground too.
Too slow.
Out it goes to Sheen. Sheen's looking behind him to King. And King going to ground, short of the quarter line. Penrith on the attack. Wilson out wide to Gig. Gig with Quinn there, slipping it back inside to Oliarnik though. Oliarnik to Ward. Back it comes to Merlot. Merlot quickly to Dan. Dan though caught round the ears by Peter Mortimer and dragged to ground short of the quarter line. Opportunity there if the ball could have flowed from Dan, but he wasn't able to get it away. Ward slipping over as he attempts to throw the pass to Merlot. Elected to hang on to it. It's the last one for Penrith on Canterbury's quarter line. Wilson will kick. High up and under, nowhere near the try line though, about midway from quarter line to try line, and Cutler has got into the air to take it like a high flyer, and so Canterbury in possession about 20 metres out. Ball has been played, and O'Neill running away with it from the dummy half position, slipping over as he tried to change direction in front of Timmy Sheens, and Timmy Sheens forcing him, getting up to play the ball short of his own quarter line. Out it goes to Hughes, and offside of the Penrith players right on Canterbury quarter line in centre field, so Canterbury relieved there with this penalty. Graham Hughes, the second rower for Canterbury, will kick for touch on the scoreboard side of the ground. Good spiralling kick too. It's gone out on the full, almost to halfway, still in Canterbury's half. Canterbury 5, Penrith 2, and we've had just on 20 minutes of play in this first half. Steve Mortimer to take the tap. Allison it is, picking up the pass. Feeding it back inside to Hughes, and on it goes quickly to Cutler up in the back line, but he's made about 5 metres over halfway and put to ground by Quinn. Back in field to Hughes this time, looking for his support. He's got it in Coveney. Coveney trying to push the players off, but going to ground. Coveney over halfway with the pass. Allison running away from dummy half down the blind into the arms of Ward. Ward putting him to ground, but good ground being made by Canterbury in these individual bursts. Mortimer out to Hughes, coming around him, then back it goes to Thomas. Thomas looking for Mortimer, the centre. It goes there to Ryan. Ryan juggling it and picking it up again, and Dan hanging on to him. There was a try on there for Canterbury, the last one for them. Mortimer from dummy half, kicking a little one through, and Klein has dived on it as it came off the boot of Mortimer. It was a grubber kick from Mortimer. Could have been dangerous too, but Klein going down on top of it as it dribbled towards him. He's played the ball back to Wilson, to Ward, out quickly to Merlo. There's a gap here, out to Gig, but the ball has bounced in front of Gig, and by the time he's picked it up, Hughes has caught him. Knocked it back as he gathered it, so he'll play the ball. Merlo up the blind side. Hughes at the marker, pulling him down with a good tackle. Short of quarter line now. Penrith end of the ground. They trail by 3 points. Ward picking up the pass from dummy half. Running into Allison's tackle right on the quarter line. Dropping the ball as he got up, but play it, says Hartley. Fed this time by Longhurst to Sheens, coming back towards the blind to Quinn. Quinn's got some room to move in. He's out of the arms of Thomas, but picked up from behind by O'Neill. Good distance made by Canterbury there, with Quinn swerving infield almost to halfway. Ward holding onto the ball as the Canterbury defence get up. He slipped King through the gap. King away over halfway diagonally towards the corner post. He's got Cutler there. Back into Dan. Dan's juggled it. He'll go on to score the try, Dan. Oh, he juggled it. As Dan came through the gap, picked up the pass from King, who was slipped away near the wrap by Bruce Ward, and Dan finishing the movement off as King got the ball back inside to him. So King will endeavour to, Wilson will endeavour to add the extras here, and while he's doing so, let me remind you about 2KA's big appeal today on behalf of the RSPCA, who want to build an animal shelter in the Blue Mountains. If you have any amount of money that you can spare, big or small, give us a ring, will you, on 586859. Rick's waiting there to take your call, and we'll gratefully receive your donation. As I said earlier, if there's certainly a charitable organisation that deserves your help, this is worth every cent you can offer to build an animal shelter on the Blue Mountains. Wilson coming back over the quarter line. Eye on the ball, could put Penrith ahead here after 24 minutes of play. Wilson to it. Oh, beautiful kick from Wilson. Not one doubt about it from the moment he left his foot, and so Penrith forge ahead to lead Canterbury by 7 points to 5.
The one sent King through the gap, the one King used.
No, it wasn't offside. Have a look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, I know.
Hello?
They're trying to beat me with logic.
What do you mean, number 2? Oh, combination number 2.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Rick, have a go for a minute if you want to, mate, on that appeal.
Yeah. Alright, mate. What's the game?
The winning double combination today is number 2. We played behind the grandstand immediately after the game.
Timmy gets that ball away a lot now too. He's coming good. Run, you bludger, run.
Keep bouncing, that's the way. Keep bouncing.
Offside!
Offside! Where was Hartley? Nowhere near it.
No, offside. Get the ball off him.
Right, thank you, Rick, for those progress scores. And here at Penrith Park, Penrith lead Canterbury by 7 points to 5, and the penalty has just gone to Canterbury inside their own quarter line, and Hughes, the second rower this time, that's Graham Hughes, will kick for touch on the far side of the ground. Not a lot of distance gained as he was very close to the touch line, but the ball has come back to Allison. Allison will take the tap and feed it on to Coveney. Coveney running strongly onto the ball, but put to ground. He'll get up to play it there. This time Thomas taking the pass away. Canterbury have used this very effectively with the big forwards running away from the dummy half pass each time. Allison feeding it out there to Graham Hughes, quickly on through the hands of Robinson. Robinson looking outside of him and slipping it to Cutler, who's been pulled to ground. Ball has been played. Back it comes to Graham Hughes, onto Thomas again. My goodness, Thomas is going to be very tired by half-time unless he's got a reserve of energy. He's done a lot of work. Graham Hughes too, slipping it out quickly to O'Neill. O'Neill caught by Quinn as he tried to come back in field. Repeating, of course, Canterbury stricken by injuries today. 5 or 6 actually of their selections out and replaced. This time Cutler looking inside of him to Casillas. Casillas though slipping over after busting up the centre, and it was wide open there before Casillas went to ground. So it was a let off for Penrith, although the play's about 40 metres out from the try line. Scrum will go down there for the 6th and last tackle. Won by Longhurst. Klein running around the scrum, caught by Casillas, out of Casillas' tackle, caught by Mortimer now, and he's dragged Mortimer a few metres towards halfway. He'll play the ball down up at dummy half, feeding it out to Wilson, onto Quinn. Quinn's got room to move down the sideline, smothered in good tackles too as Robinson comes across to put him into touch. He'll get up to play the ball, short of Canterbury's quarter line. Long pass back to Olianic to Merlo, almost back on halfway. Merlo, though, trying to force his way through the fringe of the ruck as they moved up on him. Hughes pulling him down, both the Hughes boys in that one. Ward this time again wide of the ruck, running into the centres with Mick Ryan finishing off the tackle. He's up to play it, still short of the Canterbury quarter line. Longhurst running on his own, some doubt about that tackle that hit him very high, but play on, says Hartley. King, out it goes to Klein. Wilson, who'll chip it over the top of the backs for Henderson to chase, but Mortimer's in the right position, and he's picked up the kick in the air, but had received the penalty in the process because, according to Hartley, Henderson chasing the ball in front of the kicker, offside at the time the ball was kicked, and that's a penalty to Canterbury, and Hughes will kick the fine touch from his own quarter line with a very good kick too. Out it goes on the full, short of the halfway. Allison taking the tap. Robinson, the replacement second rower, moving onto the ball, running hard into the forwards before being put to ground. He'll play it right on halfway, up to Mortimer. Mortimer on to Hughes, running around Hughes and firing a long one into Coveney. He's put down though right on halfway. Cutler up at the dummy half position. Good tackle from Kenny Wilson, out to the blind side to Mortimer, feeding it quickly onto Cutler, onto winger Greg Mullane, who's not able to handle it, and as he grabbed for it, he knocked it into touch, and so the scrum will go down over halfway into Penrith territory. Penrith lead by 7 points to 5. Very fine afternoon here at Penrith Park. A beautiful sunny winter's afternoon. Won by Canterbury. Mortimer out to Hughes, fed on to Cutler, coming through on the burst and caught by the tail of the jumper by Wilson as he tried to pull past him. Played out quickly to Hughes. On it goes there to Ryan. Ryan's feeding it back inside to Hughes again. They're still moving with it, Canterbury, 30 metres out. This time it comes to Coveney. On it comes to Thomas to Hughes. Second rower Hughes bursting down to Dan. A ton of speed and power there. He's almost out of Dan's tackle, but lost his balance and gone down about 5 metres out. Good football from second rower Hughes, and Canterbury throwing the pass there from dummy half and hitting Merlo as he came back onside. And Penrith have already had a penalty under the same circumstances that opened the scoring here at Penrith Park, so nobody in the crowd could object to that one. Not a big crowd at Penrith Park this afternoon, nothing like the crowd that came for the Parramatta match last weekend. Plenty of room, but lots of people about. I suppose we're looking at 4,000 or 5,000 here on a beautiful sunny afternoon. Some high cloud in the sky, but it's very warm, very still, and we've had 2 months of cold, sunny, frosty weather, sort of weather that isn't too kind to playing surfaces, and the grass is very, very depleted on Penrith Park. Good job has been done with it. It's been heavily watered, and there are soft, quite soft patches showing throughout the ground from the watering during the week. And I'm sure that no groundsman could have done better than Merv Hayward has done with his staff this week, because we've had 2 months of very fine and sunny weather, frosty weather in the mornings. Hughes taking the shot at goals and missing it. Goodness gracious me, no trouble. Should have Shouldn't have had any trouble with that one, but it slewed off to the left of the upright, so Canterbury have let 2 points slip by there that they should have had, and Penrith retain the lead by 7 points to 5. Kenny Wilson moving back to the quarter line to restart play with the drop kick. Hartley indicating that play should get underway. Wilson with a long high one right back over the head of Peter Mortimer. It's bouncing there for Mortimer to go back for it. He's picked it up as it bounced high above his shoulder, coming back towards halfway, evading the tackle of Oliarnik, who came back for him though, and he'll play the ball short of halfway. This time it's Mullane running, who's coming from the wing to dummy half position, trying to run away with it. Put to ground by Oliarnik as he sped from that position. Allison out to Steve Mortimer. Out wide this time to Casillas, standing in the centres, but Casillas wrestled to the ground by Henderson and Oliarnik. He'll get up to play it short of halfway. Allison at dummy half again. 2 of the Canterbury forwards there. Robinson waiting on it, feeding it on to Thomas. Thomas going to ground. Coveney it is, gone to ground with the ball, just over halfway. Allison at dummy half again. Mortimer looking outside of him, swinging a wild one back to Cutler, well behind the rest of the players he could have given it to, and Cutler had to jump into the air to take that pass. So doing, lost any momentum he may have had, and Gigg quickly gathered him in, fed closely to Thomas, who's come back into the forwards, and no way of getting through there. Thomas should have kept going in the open direction. He changed direction and veered straight back into the play the ball area and ran himself into trouble. So the 6th and last for Canterbury, and the scrum going down just over halfway, with Penrith leading by 7 points to 5, and only 9 minutes remaining to half time. Won this time by Mortimer. Out it goes along the back line to Henderson, trying to push off Cutler, but he's hanging on to him. Mortimer too in the tackle, and the ball has been lost, and Hartley has called for the scrum to go down, and so 8 minutes away from half time here at Penrith Park. Penrith lead Canterbury by 7 points to 5. Now you get there's a tin in that wide bag with pencils in it. Give one to Brentwood. That's not just as easy, mate. You have that and I'll have the pencil, I don't care. Cigar tin, Harry.
Trouble, I
Big cigar tin there. The wrong bag, mate.
Oh, that one.
What are you with it?
It's up here, behind Brett.
That's fine. Yes, that green bag is fascinating.
The green one.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's a good one. Too different for it. The bloody beauty. He caught on King's head that time.
Canterbury on the attack here with Mortimer trying to spear his way through the forwards, and the ball has been thrown back to Thomas in a deep position. Thomas running wide, and both Longhurst and King have missed him, but he's been hung onto by both centres for Penrith. Gigg and Henderson out there to catch him just short of the quarter line, this time to 5'8" Hughes, who's cut through the forwards. They're starting to find ways through the defence now, the Canterbury players. 6th and last for them. Allison a dummy half just over the quarter line, out to Graham Hughes. He's changed direction and gone back through the forwards again, made good distance too, but not able to get over the tackle of Longhurst, who's gone down underneath him, and so the scrum will go down about 10 metres out from the Penrith try line. The ball to be fed by Klein. Klein feeding it into the scrum. One again by Longhurst, picked up by Klein. Klein going around the open side of the scrum. Put down though quickly by Casillas. He'll get up to play it 10 metres out. Penrith 7, Canterbury 5. Ward picking up the pass. Caught 2 in a good tackle from Locke Casillas. Right around the ankles. Allison pushing him to ground. Longhurst at dummy half. Reversing the play to Merlot. Staying up in the tackle. The Sheens to Ward. Ward looking for the gap, but it's covered quickly by Robinson, and he's lost the ball in the tackle. And Canterbury have come up with it right on Penrith's quarter line. Ball has been played to Steve Mortimer. On it goes to Robinson, the second rower, and Robinson, a sturdy young fellow, trying to force his way through Johnny King right on the quarter line. He's played the ball there. Allison to Steve Mortimer. Long pass out to Hughes. Hughes looking outside of him to Cutler to Ryan. Out it goes to Peter O'Neill. Peter O'Neill caught by one hand by Quinn, still pulling him along. Gigg getting out there to push him down. He'll get up to play the ball just over the quarter line. Long pass back to Hughes. Mortimer not in sight. This time to Casillas. Casillas cutting back through the forwards. Missed by Sheens. Made a few metres too before Longhurst and Merlot putting the ground over the quarter line. Right under the goalpost. Steve Mortimer in the action this time. Showing the ball to Penrith and then hurling it straight out to Peter Mortimer. Peter Mortimer for the try line and in to score for Canterbury. Dragging down with him. Good work from Stephen Mortimer early in the piece. He showed the ball to the Penrith defence. Hung onto it a moment and then put his brother through the gap. And 20 metres of straight running carried him straight down to fullback Dan, and he was able to hurl himself at the try line as Dan tackled him and go over to score for Canterbury. So Canterbury now take the lead here by 8 points to 7 with the kick to come from 5'8" Hughes. Mentioning earlier, whilst we're waiting on this kick to be set up, no, it looks like Cutler taking this one. Mentioning earlier that next Saturday afternoon we'll see Penrith Park graced by the 4 best high school rugby league sides for 1977 in the University Shield semi-finals. Great afternoon of rugby league here. At 12 o'clock, the Buckley Shield between Condobolin High School and Kira High School. That's the semi-final in that 14-year-old statewide competition. Then followed at 1 o'clock by the very red-hot Ashcroft High School side from Liverpool playing the visiting Coringal High School side from Wagga in the first semi-final. And then the local derby following that later on with the other 2 remaining semi-finalists, local Penrith High School side St Mary's and Blacktown. And if you like rugby league at its very best, then I reckon that you should be here at Penrith Park next Saturday afternoon, because you'll see it at its very, very, very best with those 4 big sides playing for the right to win the University Shield for 1977. Cutler coming into the ball, foot to it, good kick from Cutler, but it's speared off the left upright and no goal there, so Canterbury lead narrowly over Penrith with 4 minutes to go to half-time by 8 points to 7.
That's the point. They haven't got players at Canterbury.
No. Take Stevenson out of the side. It's straight up in there.
No, very open whatsoever.
Border want to do a lot more running, Donald.
Any more progress scores, Rick? Can't get the message to Mike Stevenson, can we? To come up. He said he'd come up if he said if I'm not needed to do anything, if I've got to do a presentation, but he said if I'm not doing it I'll come up, but he could fit both in if he come quickly. Only waiting for a couple of minutes.
Don't argue, Terry, just take it he was wrong, that's it.
It was an involuntary tackle, it'd be penalty the other way if Terry didn't hold him.
Voluntary tackle.
Voluntary tackle.
They don't seem to play that these days, so that's very, very frequently you see a referee penalise it. Well, you know, every time a player goes through that bring touch, that's it.
Yeah, well he did. And he penalised Terry for putting his hand on him.
There's the ball now. Oh, just that's
Come off his foot. With his foot. Yes, it was. It was that foot. The 2 others would have.
Here at Penrith Park, Canterbury 8 lead Penrith 7 with 2 minutes to go to the break, and Penrith in possession over halfway into Canterbury's territory, right in midfield with halfback Klein playing the ball. Out to Wilson it goes to Merlo. Merlo pushed back by Casillas, back over halfway, going down about a metre short of halfway mark. Back comes King to dummy half. On it goes to Wilson. Quickly out there to Olianic. Olianic smothered though by the Canterbury defence, moving up very quickly. Hughes and Cutler getting to him and putting him to ground. He'll play the ball there. Gig at dummy half, wheeling it back to Wilson, who'll chip it over the top of Peter O'Neill towards the touchline, and a beautiful kick from Wilson, a well-judged kick, not a lot of distance in it, but O'Neill not able to reach up for it, and it bounced just a few inches inside of touch and then into touch for the scrum to go down over halfway into Canterbury's territory. Canterbury 8, Penrith 7. Time ticking away, a minute only to the half-time, and the scrum's collapsed in one heap of bodies, but it's come out to Mortimer, who's looked for the gap down centre, down beside the scrum, but not able to get through there. Klein pushing him back into the tackle of Wilson and Olianic. Out it comes this time to Hughes. A long, long pass to Ryan. Ryan quickly feeding it out very quickly there to Peter Mortimer. Mortimer feeding it back inside to Cutler. Cutler seeing a gap too and going for it down the sideline, whistling it back to Mortimer over the head to Mullane, who must score. Oh, that was good football from Canterbury. And the Penrith defence hung off all of them, particularly Peter Mortimer as he picked up the pass. He slowed to almost a walk. And as he slowed, so did Penrith, waiting to see what he was going to do with it, and he took off from 10 metres in from touch towards touch through the gap, and by the time he'd reached the covering defence, the Canterbury support had got up in droves behind him, and he threw the ball inside to centre Ryan, and Ryan quickly whistled it straight back out again to Greg Mullane on the touchline, and he went over to score the try. So That's another try to Canterbury. They lead now by 11 points to 7 and are doing the better with the half-time heater sounding now in the background, but the kick to come for from Cutler. So we could find ourselves, Penrith could find themselves here 6 points behind at the break if Cutler can manage this one from 8 metres in from touch and behind the quarter line. Good football that from Canterbury. I'm hoping that we might have Mike Stevenson here at half-time in the main game. I did approach him earlier, but he has a couple of duties to perform in presentation fashion to some primary school footballers at half-time. And I'm asking Ian Maurice to keep my score sheet. He's using my offsider for some message here, so Ian might do the honours for me. Cutler is endeavouring to kick the goal from just inside the quarter line. I used to run those for you, Ian, in those days myself. Oh, a beautiful kick from Cutler too, right over the bar it goes, and the half.
That's a good kick.
It's a fine kick. Beautiful kick.
Ian Saunders, if Ian Saunders is on the ground, would you come to the broadcast box, please? We have a document belonging to you. Ian Saunders.
What's the document?
Birth certificate.
Oh, get up.
One behind Britain's council.
Yeah.
Georgie takes it up. Where are the bloody forwards?
13 seconds.
You must go, Tim. You're in, boy.
To go over and dive in beside the flag to put 3 more points on the board for Penrith. So they trail now by 13 points to 10, with Kenny Wilson about to endeavour to convert that try from almost on the touchline. So there it is. Another try to Penrith, 2 chalked up now, 1 in each half, and they trail by 3 points with a kick to come from Kenny Wilson. He set himself outside the touchline, moving over it now, foot to it, but no chance with that one. It's gone very wide from the very onset, and no points chalked up, and so Canterbury maintain their lead here of 13 to 10. We've had 4 minutes of play gone in that second half. No changes on either side either for the second half. Come back as they played the first half of the match. Canterbury bringing the ball back rather slowly to the centre spot, with Cutler putting it on the mound to kick off. Penrith this half running towards the showground from the Howell end, from the Howell oval end of Penrith Park. No wind of any description. It's a very still afternoon, so no elements to contend with. There goes the kick-off, long low one over the quarter line to Quinn's wing. Quinn playing now on the left wing down the grandstand side here, and he's run back to halfway where he's been put to ground by second rower Robinson, but Merlo has snapped it up as it rolled loose, but knocked on, says Hartley, and so that's a bad loss for Penrith, with the ball gone from their possession from the kick-off, and the scrum to be fed by Klein. One though by Longhurst, and Klein trying to push his way round past Casillas. He's got out of Casillas' tackle, but then Mortimer at half-back has grabbed hold of him by the collar. On to Ward, running into centre field. Ward slamming himself into Hughes, the 5'8", who met him there, and Ward still on his feet with 3 or 4 of the Canterbury players lying around the ground, and a penalty against Canterbury, offside on the far side of the ground, particularly Hooker Allison. And this one goes to Penrith, 10 metres into their territory, about centre field, little off centre field towards the scoreboard, and Wilson will kick for touch. Left-footed kicker Wilson, no doubt with that one. We haven't had one of these touch kicks go astray this afternoon, and that's the way it should be. Walton coming in from the wing position to take the tap, taking off on his own into the Canterbury forwards, put down by Coveney. Coveney's tipped him completely head over tail there as he put him to ground. Merlo running from the blind side through the gap. Merlo's away up to the cover defence there with Mortimer, but Mortimer grabbing hold of him and hanging on to him. The support couldn't get through all the Canterbury players to Mortimer, to Merlo, so he wasn't able to feed the ball to them. Ball being played this time by King. On it goes to Ward. Ward over the quarter line, busting out of the tackle of Coveney. Put down by Big Thomas, though, about 15 metres out. Penrith on the attack now with Longhurst going up the dummy half. Wilson, Klein, out it comes to Sheen. Sheen's put down on a beautiful tackle from Locke Casillas. Threw everything at him around the knees and got him to ground. Wilson will put up the up and under from the quarter line. A good one too, spinning around the air, coming down towards Cutler. All the Penrith side there. There's a chance here. Quinn could be the scorer. Oh, kicked out of the hands of Quinn by O'Neill. as he went to dive on it just a couple of metres in from the dead ball line. No try there, but very, very close to the mark, as you might have heard from other members here in the broadcasting box. But no score, and so Canterbury will restart play with a drop goal from under the crossbar. Canterbury lead by 13 points to 10, 3 tries to 2 so far, and it's been touch and go. Our Martin Wells Sunglasses Award today, by the way, has gone to under 23s 5'8", John Lewis, who time and time again split the defence in that victory by the under 23s over Canterbury. Penrith won both of the lower grades, 16-5 the under 23s, and reserve grade by 17 points to 12, I think was the final score. Penrith on the attack now from that drop goal. Second play the ball with Oliani getting up on the quarter lines. Wilson spinning it out to Klein to Ward out in centre field, and Ward has put Coveney and Hughes completely back on their tails as he hit them. But he bounced back and was put down then by Robinson. Back it comes to Sheens, changing direction, giving it to King, who was almost through the gap, but collared by Mick Ryan, pretty high too, and he's down now and playing the ball, up and playing the ball I should say. Wilson out to Henderson out wide. There's a split there for Henderson over the head to Gig. Gig quickly out to Walton. Walton though pushed back in from the touch line and hurled to the ground by Mullane. 6 to go for Penrith, touched there by the Canterbury players. Wilson out through the hands of Dan, quickly on to Merlo. Merlo stopped though by Hughes. Out wide before he could get into stride on the quarter line. 5 to go for Penrith. They trail by 3 points. On it goes to Sheens on the blind side, looking for a way through, and he's thrown a wild one into the hands of Quinn. And play on, says Hartley. I'd have said it was the forward pass, but play on, says Hartley, and played by Quinn 20 metres out. On through Klein's hands to Wilson's hands. He's leaving Ward out. It's bounced along the ground in the hands of Henderson, who's found a split. Henderson's found a way in behind Cutler, and he's thrown it straight back into the arms of Mullane. As he headed for the corner, he hurled one blind over his shoulder, and Mullane there to drag it down, but I suppose Henderson was hoping the support was with him, because he could see he was going to be pushed into touch. So Canterbury have possession about 5 metres out. Casillas going to ground the tackle from King. He'll play the ball, wheeled out on by Robertson to the blind side to Mullane. Mullane though jumping in the air as Olianic reaches him, and Longhurst, and he's put to ground 10 metres out from his own try line. Dummy half running away with the ball there. Hughes put to ground by Longhurst and Sheens. On this time to Robinson. Robinson coming at a rate of knots into the forwards. He's left a couple of them spread around the ground too. Longhurst and King it was. 6th and last for Canterbury on their own quarter line. Hughes, the second rower, feeding it out wide to Mullane, who's knocked it on and dived on it, but the scrum will go down on the Canterbury quarter line. Canterbury lead by 13 points to 10 here at Penrith Park, and we've got only 8 minutes of play so far in the second half gone. Plenty of time for lots of scores yet. One by Canterbury, fed out by Mortimer to 5'8" Hughes. He's found the gap in beside Gig. He's got to halfway. Gig's gone back for him and wrestled him aground. 5 metres over halfway into Penrith territory. Good run from 5'8" Hughes. Put Canterbury on the attack. Back it goes there to Robinson. Robinson tearing at the fringe of the ruck, and he's a hard runner, this fellow. He may have been a replacement player, but he certainly plays the game with plenty of venom. Out this time the second rower, Hughes. He's filled the defence by throwing a dummy, but he's lost the ball into the hands of Ward, who can't hang on to it. He's knocked it on. And there it was on a platter for Penrith, 25 metres out from their try line, but Ward wasn't able to get hold of it. He juggled it in front of him and then lost it, so knock on both directions. A scrum to go down on Penrith's quarter line. Won by Longhurst, but we'll have it again, says Hartley. 13 to 10 Canterbury lead, and a penalty this time in a good position for Canterbury against Penrith. Should be 2 points in it for Cutler, I'd imagine, and Hartley indicating they weren't facing directly up and down the playing field. Technical fault, but nevertheless one that must be one that warrants a penalty, and Hartley has no hesitation in awarding it against the front row 3 of Penrith. Cutler has wandered up from fullback to endeavour to put 2 more points on the board. 13 points to 10 Canterbury lead. Canterbury, of course, desperately in need of these 2 points if they're going to stay within any distance of the final 5. They are on 19 points, actually 3 behind. No, well, they're more than that now. Manly's victory yesterday has pushed them on to 24 points. Equal to Balmain, and Balmain may stay on that if they get beaten by Parramatta today, and the score at half-time in that match is Parramatta 11, Balmain 4. So Canterbury have got to get this one to maintain any chance of dragging in the final team in the final 5 in the last 3 rounds. It's a pretty difficult task anyway for them, and like Penrith, they're still alive in the AMCO Cup, and no doubt both clubs will be thinking more about that than premiership honours at the moment, but Canterbury still some sort of a chance. Cutler moving into the ball, foot to it. And a good one too from Cutler, no mistake about it, between the uprights, low trajectory, but a good kick, and so Canterbury lead by 15 points to 10 here at Penrith Park after 11 minutes of play in the second half.
Set try and subsequent conversion is the
He lost that ball, didn't he?
I tell you what, one of the differences there, there's a forward there called Hughes who's having a whale of a game.
No word.
Brilliant.
There's Bacillus, isn't it?
Merlo would have to nearly get the watching in, wouldn't he?
Close to
Pretty close to Brad, isn't it?
Well, George is getting in there, mate.
Yeah, George has had a good game. They're the two that catch my eye. Shoons has had a good game
Who got
too.
it last week?
George.
Oh, George, yeah.
Merlo's had it twice too already.
Oh, Paul.
Come on, Klein, we haven't got all day, we're behind.
He's got a little bit of impressed corner, isn't he?
Oh, he's on the floor, isn't he?
Back here at Penrith Park, Canterbury lead by 15 points to 10, and we're 11 minutes into the second half, with second rower Robinson throwing a pass straight into the hands of Johnny Klein, coming back from among the Canterbury players, and thank you, says Klein, as he gets up to play it, put down by Hughes though. Longhurst feeding it out to Merlo, who's propped, and nowhere to go Merlo. He looked outside of him, found the back line moving up too quickly from the Canterbury side, so he hung onto the ball and took the tackle from Casillas. Out to Wilson this time to Sheens. There's room to move in here, and Sheens' tackle bounces to Quinn, who's knocked it forward into the hands of Robinson. Had a big game for Canterbury-Bankstown, this second row. Robinson brought in to replace the injured second rower Bob McCarthy, who was captain of the Canterbury side. Hartley asking for the ball and putting it to ground, and it looks like a Canterbury player will be spoken to here. The touch judge has gone in, and something Hartley hasn't seen. It looks it's a replacement player, I think, or is it O'Neill he's talking to? O'Neill being spoken to, the winger for Canterbury. There'll be a penalty of some kind given here, and Brett tells me it was interference with a man not involved in the play at that moment, and there indeed is the penalty against O'Neill for Canterbury, and we do have a change in the Canterbury side. While Wilson will get it for you in a moment. Wilson kicks the touch and finds it to, in it goes to Klein. Klein takes the tap, gives it to Longhurst, runs around in the Sheens, changes direction back to Wilson, then to Olianic, who tries to duck under the tackle of Ryan. Out it goes to Sheens. So we've got a change in the Canterbury side. Graham Hughes, the second rower, has gone from the field of play, and he's been replaced by Gerard Raper at lock. Ward trying to bust his way through centre field, but caught by 3 or 4 of them. Coveney, the first one up to him, and Raper in that tackle too. This time back it comes to Klein. A quick long one out to Dan, and he's mishandled it too and knocked it forward. Gig coming from behind him, dives on to reclaim possession, so Canterbury don't get it that easily, but it's a scrum to go down for the knock-on. 5 metres into Penrith territory, 15-10 Canterbury lead, and we've got 14 minutes of play gone in the second half. Fed by Klein, won this time by Allison, picked up by Mortimer, quickly out to Hughes at 5'8". He's propped though as Gig got up quickly on centre Cutler, on centre Ryan I should say. Played now by Hughes, over halfway into Penrith territory. Spun out quickly there to Ryan, on it goes to Cutler up in the attack, but he's propped as Gig got outside of him and come back into the tackle of Merlo. Still 5 metres over halfway, on it goes to Coveney, who's put it to ground. I think Penrith have come up with it, knocked on both ways, says Hartley, in the scuffle there, and so this scrum will go down 5 metres into Penrith territory.
Wardy's doing nothing.
Scrum going down. We pick our 2KA Citizen Watch Award winner, of course, from the Penrith ranks, the best performer in the Panther ranks for this afternoon's proceedings. At the moment it would be Longhurst and Merlot, I think, with a nose in front of most other players. Oleanik's had a fairly good game too. Wilson out to Gig. Gig caught with the ball. Wilson's done nothing wrong either. He hasn't had a very aggressive game, but he's done nothing wrong. Gig has played it forward and run straight on into the arms of Hughes. Replacement player in the Canterbury side. 5'8" Hughes, second rower Hughes has left the field, and he's been replaced by Gerard Raper, one of the famous Raper family, of course. His brother at the moment sitting on the sideline too. Sheens trying to push his way past the fringe of the ruck, but caught and dragged down by Mullane, who came in from the wing there, and there's a ball has been lost by Sheens as he got up to play it, and he's objecting to Hartley that it was knocked out of his hand, but Hartley electing to put a scrum down in that spot just over halfway. Game's fallen away a little in the second half. It opened rather sensationally with Sheens going in for a try for Penrith. Dan on the blind side with the ball, won by Longhurst. Out to Walton's wing, but not able to get the ball away. Walton a dummy half, trying to dance his way through past Mortimer. Mortimer hanging on to him by one sleeve. Out to centre field to Klein. Long one to Wilson in centre field. Out to Merlot, coming at a burst. Merlot turning his back, looking for support. Oleanik there. But Oleanik already in the arms of Mortimer before he even received the ball. Right on the halfway line, centre spot. Wilson picking up one on his toes. Out to Gig. Gig trying the little kick over. It's going to work too, I think. Gig again. On to Merlot. Merlot away. Oh, and a forward fine kicker for Canterbury. He's left the field, replaced by Gerard Raper. Allison up to take the tap just over halfway. Well, that was 5 points. Gone begging, believe me. Coveney running onto the pass. Still running fairly strongly. Coveney, he and Thomas were the blunt of the Penrith attack, the Canterbury attack in the early parts of the game. And getting up to play the ball, he's lost it, and Hartley has elected to put a scrum down 10 metres over halfway into Penrith's territory. 15-10 Canterbury lead, and we've had 18 minutes of play. Klein to feed the scrum. Won this time by Allison, blindside to O'Neill, who's gone back into where the scrum is, and he's just run into trouble there with both Dan and Klein getting up to him and putting him down. He'll get up to play the ball, about a metre lost there. This time Casillas trying to tear his way through the fringe of the ruck, and Oleanik there waiting for him, has picked him up in a good tackle. Sheens finishing it off. Steve Mortimer wide, then it goes to Graham Hughes, and through the gap goes Robinson, the hard-running second rower. Built very low to the ground, this fellow, but built like a rhinoceros, something like John Ryan to look at, but the ball has been taken out of his hands by Wilson, and he's been penalised by Hartley, and then another 10 metres by Hartley for arguing with him. So Canterbury now in a position 5 metres in from touch to attempt to put 2 points on the board, and Hughes, 5'8" Hughes, taking his time with the ball, calling Cutler up. Telling Cutler to attempt the 2 points. Everything happening at walking pace at the moment, neither side really anxious, so I suppose Penrith would like to get on with it, but Canterbury stalling for time. O'Neill down on his haunches and waiting for treatment this stage. Don't forget, while you're listening to us, pick up the phone and dial 586859 or 821177 if you'd like to give 2KA a donation for their RSPCA appeal that they're holding this afternoon. It's to build an animal shelter in the Blue Mountains for all those stray animals, principally dogs and cats and horses, I suppose, but your help, even to the tune of $1, is of great importance, so how about it? 586859 821177, either number, and we'll gratefully accept your donation. He goes Cutler now, back behind the ball, eyes set on it, coming in to see if he can add the extras. 15-10 Canterbury lead at this stage. Oh, a good kick from him too. It's a beautiful kick, never looked like missing, straight over the brown dot from an awkward angle, and so Canterbury now lead Penrith by 17 points to 10.
Canterbury 17, Penrith 10. We was robbed.
Wasn't good.
You better come with us now for a while, for Christ's sake. We won't stand a chance we pick this up.
Rick, make a note there, mate, will you, tomorrow, to follow up that Education Week letters out to schools, and also, if you wouldn't mind, to get back the cricket ground passes from Jeff. I need them next Sunday afternoon. It's Penrith play at the Sydney Cricket Ground next Sunday. You might be wise if you're talking to Jeff before he comes out on Wednesday to ask him in case he leaves them behind. I've also got my letter to the sporting clubs ready too to send out to them for their return letter for my submission for the hearing on the September the 6th. So I'll bring it down tonight and leave it with Viv. Well, wonders will never cease. What about that? Newtown 20 leads St George 10. An incredible score at Cogra Jubilee Oval. Newtown... we've got it right now. It's St George 20, Newtown 10. That sounds more. Thank you, Rick. We've got it right now. So it's St George 20 leading Newtown 10. And Penrith here at Penrith Park trail by 7 points. And the ball has gone out along the Penrith back line to Merlo, on to Gig. Gig away down the sideline, driven into touch though in a good tackle from Steve Mortimer in cover defence. He's a good footballer, this Mortimer, and lucky for him this year that he did so well in the early representative games and then had a poor one in Brisbane that cost him a place in the Australian side, but I'm sure he'll make it before his career is over. Scrum going down just over halfway into Canterbury's territory. Straight through the scrum it comes, and so Hartley has asked for it to be put in again. Ball has been fed this time, won by Longhurst. Out it comes to Wilson from Klein and on to Walton, coming around from the blindside wing position, but put down by Hughes. Out this time to Wilson, looking behind him to Merlo. Merlo's still plenty of going, and he's caught in a good tackle from Casillas, who's hurt himself in the tackle. Out the blindside to King. King looking for the split. Oh, he was almost through it too. He left Hughes stranded, but was picked up in a good tackle from Mullane, who's had a good game from the wing position for Canterbury, to Ward in centre field. Ward throwing the foot, looking like he was going to throw the pass, then hanging on to it. Gerard Raper pulling him to ground by the elbow. Out it goes to Klein, blindside. Gig with a chop over the top. There's nobody at home. Cutler's not there, but O'Neill could be first to field it, and he does. He picks it up and goes to ground under Gig's tackle about 10 metres out from the try line. Penrith still a chance in this match if they can get cracking, and that one, beautifully done by Gig as he leaned over the man playing the ball and tapped it back into the hands of Longhurst. That's out along the back line now to Oliarnik with Henderson calling for it out wide. The Canterbury back line is as thin as tissue paper. They're just not there at the moment. Out to Merlo. Merlo, though, has found himself fronted by 3 or 4 of the Canterbury players. Robinson having a good game for Canterbury, grabbing hold of him 15 metres out, right beside touch. And Longhurst is going to try and spear himself down the touch line. Robinson again affecting the tackle. Merlo at dummy half, running from that position, changing directions as he usually does, but running straight into the tackle of Coveney. On it goes to Wilson in centre field, looking around behind him to Sheen. Sheen's bumping off one tackle and back to Dan, who's spilled it straight out of his hands into the hands of Canterbury, and they're in possession now. Well, that's about 3 times Penrith have cost themselves scoring opportunities, and there's a penalty here against Canterbury. The man playing the ball, hanging onto the marker and Hartley watching it, and that was a silly thing for Canterbury to do as Thomas took the ball and tried to bump his way upfield on the blind side. He'd made a good 10 metres too, and another player for Canterbury being treated. It looks like Robinson, the second rower. No, it isn't Robinson. A tough boy, this Robinson. I'm most impressed with his performance. For a lad brought up from lower grades, he's had a big game for Canterbury. Wilson has elected to chip for touch, and he's found it too, almost straight out from where the penalty was awarded. It could have been 2 points, but they're looking for the 5 points. Longhurst just trundling quietly into the forwards, right on the Canterbury line. He'll play it. King will endeavour to split the defence, but Allison with a good tackle has dragged him down a metre out. Penrith on the attack, trailing by 7 points, and Longhurst spearing himself over. Could have done it. He's done it. Longhurst has gone straight underneath the Canterbury forwards. Legs of him, and I'd say Ross Giggs had a good game too, with limited opportunities in the back line, and great clubman Reg Walton's done nothing wrong on the wing. So we've got 17-13 now, and Wilson about to endeavour to convert that try. Foot to it. No mistake with it over the brown dot, and we're back in business again at Penrith Park with 2 points the difference. Canterbury 17, Penrith 15.
Penrith 15.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
You better correct that score. It's St George 20, Newtown 10.
What are we about?
We said 10-5, and Rick apologised down the line. He was reading it wrongly.
Two hard scores, sir.
No, that's all right.
You don't have to correct it. They were 10, so it's still 10, 20-10. St George are just forged ahead of them.
We're at Jubilee Oval. Oh, look at that. Get off. Little George again.
Keep Ward in.
Thank you, Rick, for those scores, and we're passing them on here to the 4,000 or 5,000 people at Penrith Park. St George in possession, I should say Penrith in possession, trailing by 2 points, 17 to 15, Canterbury lead, 10 metres short of halfway. Ward getting up to play the ball, Longhurst, dummy half to Wilson. Another little chip over the top, but Mortimer is sitting right where it landed, and he's taken it. They're awake up to that one now, and Mortimer's weaved his way through about 4 tackles. 4 players using Hartley as a shepherd too for half the trip, but nevertheless, he's got away with it, and he's up to play the ball, short of Penrith's quarter line. O'Neill swinging it on to Robinson, bumping off the tackle of Longhurst, but being caught by King a little further infield. He'll play the ball, swung out quickly by replacement player Raper. On it goes there to Raper now. Raper down over the quarter line. He'll play the ball. Swung wide to Hughes. Hughes looking outside of him to Coveney, coming on the burst. Coveney put to ground, smothered by 3 of the Penrith players in the last tackle before the scrum goes down. Fed out by Hughes quickly to Mortar, reverse pass to Thomas. Thomas caught, swung it to Allison, who's lost it, and I think Penrith might have come up with it. Kleinert is diving over the top of Allison to take the ball for Penrith, and he's crawled along on his knees about 5 metres, and he's broken down too, Klein. He's got up and broken down. Merlot's away straight through the back line, but Mortimer's got him with a beautiful tackle. Mortimer's had a great game in that area behind the first line of defence in front of fullback Cutler. He's not made a mistake yet. Ward trying to burst his way through. Klein okay. He looked as though he was going to come off. I've seen Klein before in this situation. Not able to carry on. He has trouble with his legs, but he's gone back into the half-back position as Oliarnik plays the ball over halfway, and a penalty against Canterbury for the marker standing not directly behind the man playing the ball, and Wilson says, "We'll even the score, sir. Let's have a go at the goal." He's about 40 metres out, a little off-centre, certainly not outside of his range by any means. Wilson being one of the most accurate and technically correct kickers in Sydney. I'm often amazed when I see the likes of John Gray with their unusual round-the-corner instep soccer-style kicking achieving success, and you see a fellow like Wilson who does it all according to Hoyle. Yet Gray manages to do pretty well with his kicking. So does Wilson, of course. Very reliable kicker, and he's got this ball on the mound. Head down, moving into it, foot to it, in the air it goes. I'd say it's a homer, that one. It's a beautiful kick. It slew to the left. Sorry, I thought it was in, but on this side angle it slewed away from the goalposts, and so no points there to Penrith. They still trail by the 2 points, but they've got 10 minutes to pick them up. 17-15, Canterbury lead to Penrith here at Penrith Park. A very slow Canterbury side getting back to start the game again. Ball has been drop-kicked out to Merlot on halfway. I think I'd like to share this watch award today if I could between both Merlot and Longhurst. They've both had fine games. It's going to be difficult to make the decision, but they'd be the 2, I'd say. Sheens looking inside of him to King. King having a good game too. Sheens also. They're the 4 players I would have said were in the running for the award. Sheens again looking for a way past the fringe of the ruck, but put down by Allison. Longhurst on the job. 30 metres out. Penrith on the attack again. Longhurst going to try and run with the ball, but put to ground by Allison. Around the ankles too. Good tackle there from the Canterbury hooker. Klein looking outside of him to Wilson. Quickly to Merlot. He's dummied to Merlot. Back to King coming to blind, and he's running to another tackle from Allison. Right back on the same spot where the ball was played a moment ago. Longhurst at dummy half still, and Wilson will kick this time. High in the air it goes. Cutler in front of his goal post, and there's Oliarnik coming at a rate of knots, but Cutler, no mistake about it, in the air to take the ball. 5 metres out, 9 minutes to go, and Canterbury in possession now. The ball being played by Cutler and picked up by Hughes. The 5'8", put to ground though. He'll play it a few metres out from the try line. Coveney trying to run away from dummy half with it, and grabbed hold of Giggers, grabbed hold of his shirt collar and pulled him to ground. Hughes this time straight upfield too before Ward and Sheens put him down short of the quarter line. 3 tackles gone for Canterbury. Mortimer coming the blind side, running sideways. He's throwing it onto O'Neill, who's Ryan, who's juggled it in front of him and then reclaimed it. It's the last one for Canterbury. I'd have said there was one more to go, but that's it from Hartley. The last one, and a long kick from Hughes down the sideline. It's not going to find touch, not unless Dan lets it bob again, but Dan's got over to it. He's got Quinion support back on his own quarter line. He's wrong-footed O'Neill splendidly, straight through the gap there, past O'Neill, but not getting away from the next tackler behind, waiting on him. Allison it was again with a good tackle. Quinn running in field from dummy half position has been wrestled to ground 10 metres short of halfway. Time ticking away for Penrith, 8 minutes left and 2 points behind. Sheens dragged down by Casillas, 10 metres short still, and this time closer to the touchline, and goes to King. King bobbing his way through the first tackle. It was Thomas who got up to him, but he was caught quickly by Coveney behind him, and Allison again. Ward trying to barge his way through the tackle of Coveney out wide. Last one for Penrith. Klein at dummy half. Wilson it is, and Olianik's injured. Wilson throwing a high one over the head of everybody to Quinn, who's knocked it on, and he's picked it up now, and Wilson expressing his anguish at that one. He threw a high pass over the head of 3 or 4 players from his own side and 2 from the Canterbury team, in the hopes that Quinn might have got clear on the wing, but Quinn couldn't handle it. Peak is going on in the Canterbury line-up, and it looks like Casillas is going to come off. John Peake has gone on in the lock position, and Casillas has come off. Ball to be fed by Klein, picked up by Mortimer, but we'll have it again, says Hartley. We've got Canterbury leading Penrith by 17 points to 15. Klein has picked it up though, as it's been won again by Longhurst, and he's on his feet and trying to drag his way through 2 tackles beside the fringe of the scrum, but put down finally by Robinson just on halfway. Out it goes to Wilson, wide to Henderson. Henderson propping and running straight into the tackle of Raper. He'll play it short of halfway. Longhurst there to Wilson, still looking for a way past the fringe of the ruck, and I think we've found it. They've put Quinn away down the touchline. He's gone back inside, plenty of support. Wilson outside of him. Wilson running out of room to move in. Ball Wilson caught again by Mortimer. He's had a delightful game in cover defence, Mortimer. He's been on Johnny on the spot every occasion he's been needed there. Out it goes to Dan, on to Ward. Ward holding onto the ball and taking the tackle of Raper as he comes up to claim him. It's been played down at dummy half. Merlot, plenty of running here in the Penrith side. They only need the gap and they'll go again. Right on the quarter line. King getting up to play the ball. Up in the air it goes from Wilson. A good one too, out to O'Neill's wing, but O'Neill plenty of time to pick it up before he starts off upfield, and Quinn and Gigg wrestling him down. So O'Neill will play the ball 5 metres out from his own try line. Out it goes to Hughes. Hughes running into the tackle of Longhurst. And Sheens. He'll play the ball there. Allison, a dummy half, feeding it on to Robinson. Robinson, a young fellow, had a big game too as a replacement player for Captain Bob McCarthy to the quarter line. He'll play it. Mortimer running away again. Out it goes to Hughes. Hughes looking for O'Neill, electing to hang on to it though as Merlot and Ward pushing to the ground. Allison waiting on them on Hughes to get up and play the ball. Allison looking inside to Mortimer. They're spending as much time on the ground and moving slowly as they can, Canterbury. With 6 to go, we're coming up to the 5-minute mark, 5.5 to go. The red hand coming around, wide one this time to the bad one from Mortimer, who's swirled it out to O'Neill. He's knocked it on, but it's a forward pass according to Hartley. So that's a penalty to Penrith, 30 metres out. They won't take the shot at goal, I don't think. Right against touch, it's far too difficult. I'm sure Wilson will find touch and endeavour to get his side on the attack. They trail by 2 points, but it's a little distant. Yes, he's chipped it over the touchline, and so elected to take the free kick that follows. Klein coming up to the quarter line to tap the ball 10 metres in to Longhurst to Sheens. There's movement there, but Sheens not able to get the ball away. He's wrestled his way out of one tackle and run into the arms of Coveney. 27 metres out. Penrith on the attack, 2 points they trail by. Ward then throwing it around to King. King trying to break the line of defence but not able to. It's just a matter of Canterbury defending strongly now to win this one. It's right on 5 to go at this very moment. Klein electing to give one on to Dan. Dan's away. He's through the tackle of Mortimer, lost it in the process, and it's been knocked on both ways. And with 5 minutes exactly to go here at Penrith Park, Canterbury lead Penrith by 17 points to 15.
What was that one?
It's a bad time to stop, Rick, with Penrith putting on the pressure, but we've got 2 ads to go. I just have to. There's a man injured anyway, so it'll see the minute out. Players stopped at the moment.
Someone like Kevin Dean.
That lady earlier in the day heard me swearing up the line, and Rick, I hope she got my apology that followed.
Anyone saw on the field after the game, and then they will take
4 minutes to scrub that water. Right. Oh,
yes, there it is.
Scumwin.
Yeah.
Come on. This way.
Back to rear, Rick.
Not doing enough with the ball.
3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes here at Penrith Park. Penrith with the ball on the attack. It was won by Canterbury in the scrum, but Mortimer lost it and was picked up by Henderson as it rolled around the ground. It's the last one for Penrith. 3 minutes to go. They're 10 metres out from the try line. Up it goes from Wilson, straight up in the air. This is do or die for Penrith. There's a mile of players there, but Cutler has done it again, and a player in black play has been flattened. It's Kenny Wilson getting up very slowly back into the play, and Canterbury are running away with the ball. Minutes ticking away now. They should take this out by the odd 2 points. Quinn pushing Mullane to ground with the ball. Coveney at dummy half, trying to fight his way out. 3 minutes to go, 17-15. Canterbury lead Penrith. Penrith desperately need possession of the ball. A gap up the blind side there for Canterbury. Ball is played now by Mullane again. On played to Allison. Allison's going to hang on to it. It's the last one for Canterbury. Less than 3 minutes now, but they've got to do something with the ball this time. Either kick it or go down in the tackle for the scrum. Back it goes to Cutler. He'll try a long driving kick to Dan, who's perfectly positioned in centre field. Dan heading downfield too, with a Canterbury defence getting over to him. He's coming back towards the wall of players, and he's run himself into trouble out of 2 tackles, but he's lost his momentum and put down. 2.5 minutes to go. 5'8" Wilson, a dummy half. Get up, Dan, he says, and pats him on the tail. Out to Ward. Ward looking for the break. Almost there too, and he's almost pushed his way past Allison and Robinson, but they hung on to him. 2 minutes to go. 17-15. Canterbury lead. Out it goes to King wide. King trying to breach the bridge of the defence, but put down as Canterbury get up on top of him. It's desperation for Canterbury in these tackles. Walton in from the wing position. He's trying to find his way through between Coveney and Allison, but he's been put down too. A couple to go for Penrith and about 1.5 minutes left. Out to Wilson, reversing it back to Ward. Ward trying to struggle his way through. He's thrown a pass to Henderson, who's lost it backwards, but been picked up by King. On it goes to Sheens. A chance here. 6 again. Oh, and Olearnik's lost it as he got tackled from behind, and Robertson's come up with it for Canterbury. That's the ball game, I'd say. No, it's lost again, and Penrith in possession. Well, Robinson lost it as he went to ground. So Penrith with 1.5 minutes in which to score the vital points. On it goes to Ward. Ward trying to bust his way through. We've got 10 seconds, I'd say, to go. 1.5 minutes to go in the match. Merlo at dummy half. Klein feeding it on there to Sheen. Sheen's looking for the break. It's anything now with Klein coming up with the ball. He's got it back again. It's been picked up by Canterbury though. And Canterbury in possession, and I'd say that's the end of the ball game with time ticking away for Penrith. 1 minute to go. Canterbury 17, Penrith 15. O'Neill will play the ball on the far side of the ground, 25 metres out, using every tactic they can, Canterbury, to delay the process. Ball to be played now, back to Mortimer. Quick one on to Hughes. Hughes running out wide with it. Olearnik grabbing him in a good tackle. We're inside the last minute of the game. Clock ticking away, 29 seconds to go by our citizen stopwatch here. And that's all there is in the match with Canterbury in possession. Allison trying to force his way through by the side of the ruck. Canterbury 17, Penrith 15. It's been a terrific finish. Penrith have had their opportunities. This time Thomas is electing to run again. He had a big game early, Thomas. They used him to soften up the Penrith defence. Not been much of him since midway through the first half, but back in the action now. Coveney this time running away from dummy half. That's all Canterbury need. We've got a second to go. Mortimer picking up the pass from Coveney, running into centre field. A long one over the head of everybody to O'Neill, who's gone back infield. Straightened up now. Merlo's got hold of him on the Penrith quarter line, and right now the hooter has sounded dead early in the